Hey, this is Wilson. No Jason this week as always. Uh, no Jason Wolf, that is. No David Galvez either. But of course, I'm joined by my two prestigious co-hosts, Shane Christopher Murray, and also Jason Big Mitch Mitchell tonight, also known as the bad guy.
Hey yo.
Hey yo. Well, Mitch,
Ooh.
what was your favorite version of before I get to that, um before we get started, if you're watching this on YouTube, hit that subscribe button next to the Complete Lakers podcast. If you prefer the audio version, remember to rate, review, and subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts. The show is also on Anchor, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, and every other major podcatcher. Make sure to follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at TC Pod Network, and to like it on Facebook. Just search for the Complete Lakers podcast. And finally, send feedback and mailbag questions to Complete Lakers podcast at gmail.com. Okay, so I was about to ask Mitch. Mitch, what was your favorite version of the late great Scott Hall? Was it the Razor Ramon of WWF, or was it, of course, the great Scott Hall of the Outsiders and NWO?
Oh, easily. I mean, Scott Hall for sure. But
Yeah,
mostly because I feel like I was too young to like really appreciate like the Razor Ramon version. So I mean, yeah, definitely the Scott Hall NWO. Too sweet all day.
I always say, bro,
NWO.
like when they first came out from like, I think they went to Bash the Beach in, was it 96, 95, 96? But I think it was like 96. So like from 96 to like 98, the only people alive who were like cooler than them were like Michael Jordan and the Bulls, right? So
Exactly.
and Robin was on the Bulls and he was in NWA. NWO.
Exactly.
So, I mean, those
Man,
dudes were
Robin.
just, yeah.
And to this day, he's still in the NWO because when you're NWO, it's
Yeah.
for life.
Yes, sir. But yeah, so we wanted to. Well, I mean, we have to, as always. We might take a break next week just because we did two last week, and really, I mean, it's getting to the point where, I mean, unless the Westbrook trade happens, there's really not going to be much to talk about anymore until training camp starts. But of course, what happened last week? One day after we had Greg Bergman on, and Shane Murray asked Bergman, who would he prefer? One of them was Pat Bev. The other one was Dennis Schroeder. He said, would he prefer that we bring back Dennis Schroeder or that we try Pat Bev? And Greg Bergman said, give me Pat Bev and his defense. And Big Mitch, of course, he agreed. And I agree. I agreed. And then of course, Shane was the only person who would suspect Shane who disagreed because Shane hates Pat Bev that much. But we tried to explain to Shane that Pat Bev is the kind of guy you hate him because he's not on your team. But if he's on your team, you love him. And now, of course, he is on our team. The Lakers traded for Patrick Beverley last week in exchange for Taylor Horton Tucker and Stanley Johnson. Was that all we gave up?
Yeah, we mean that's all.
Oh, you think that was a lot, Shane?
We just traded a wing when we're in dire need of wings. So, yes, that was a lot.
Which wing are you talking about? Stanley Johnson or Taylor Horton Tucker?
Stanley Johnson.
Okay. Well,
that was loaded with guards, 6'3" and below.
Okay, well, Shane, I guess I'll start with Shane. Shane, why are you so mad about the Patrick Beverley trade? Is it just because you hate his guts? Is it because you feel like it stacked the roster too much in one position? Or is it like a combination of both? What is it?
One, I think his game is trash. I think his attitude is trash. I was over him with what he did to CP3 in the playoffs about a couple years back. And then the trade itself, for THT, a 21-year-old for a 34-year-old, and then added Stanley Johnson to the deal when we're already lacking wings, 6'6", 6'8", and everybody's trying to get wings. They just give up a wing like that because supposedly they wasn't going to play either of them to start the season. So, but I'm sure it was approved by LeBron. Analytic-wise, with him and AD, the defense did get better, I suppose. But we'll see.
Shane, you sound so bitter, man.
Cause I don't like his ass. I don't like him.
What's wrong with his attitude? Explain. Elaborate.
I mean, the whole I'm gonna get in your head, talk shit, but barely put up 10 points. I don't respect that. The whole push Chris Paul in the back shit. And then
that was Bush League.
Bring him in. You bring him in with Westbrook on the team, who he literally injured his knee.
That was an accident.
And put him out.
That wasn't on purpose. That wasn't on purpose. He was just playing hard. That's not
so. Then he's on top of that with the Clippers. Ew. He was the speaker, their voiceman. I don't want no Clipper shit on my team. So no. But it is what it is. Well, he's known as a Clipper, so yeah, I don't fuck with him.
Well, Shane, that's so personal, bro. Don't you? You don't. So I mean, but basketball-wise, do you consider it a plus or a minus? You said it sucks.
I mean, he's kind of hot and cold to me. Like he could have a game where he go 3 for 3 from 3. At 15-9, or it can be somebody who has a donut and makes it a key technical foul that costs the game because he's trying to get in somebody's face. A la when Lou Williams tried to calm him down a few times. So, I mean, but one thing I will say about him, he has heart. He's not going to be afraid to say what needs to be said. So it's a matter of if he's going to be consistent and not go overboard, not turn into a Draymond Green on the team. But
what? But yeah. What is that supposed to mean?
Even what's that supposed to mean?
What is that supposed to the Draymond Green of the team? What's that supposed to mean? Is that supposed to be like a diss?
Not a diss as far as game, but as far as like composure, staying away from text.
The last I remember, Draymond Green's composure helped them win 4 rings.
He's also like second all time in text.
It's 4 rings, though, Shane.
It's 4 rings,
it's a means to an end.
It's 4 rings if he's under control.
Yeah, Pat Bev was. Yeah, Pat Bev is not as bad as Draymond with that stuff. I don't think.
He's not.
He can be.
He's definitely not technical wise.
Or worse.
Technical wise, there's no way.
No.
He doesn't understand. Listen, basketball is a mental game.
The one thing it did do though a couple things though that was good about it. They did it without losing a draft pick, so you still got the first round draft picks. Getting rid of THT, you now have $30 million in cap space this summer, and it filled up a second roster spot to get somebody else or an add in for the trade. So yeah, so some pluses.
Mitch,
made me lose my train of thought, but what was I going to say? Either way it goes, I mean,
I'm in love, Pat Bev. Thank you, Pat Bev.
Let me start off by reading the comparison of stats between Patrick Beverley and the illustrious THT from last season. I'll start with THT. He averaged 14.2 points, 3.8 assists, 4.6 rebounds, 1.2 threes, 1.4 steals, 0.7 blocks per 75 possessions. 50.3 true shooting percentage, 26.9 3-point percentage. You heard that part? 26.9. Patrick Beverley, 12.9 points a game, 6.5 assists per game, 5.8 rebounds a game, 2 threes a game, 1.6 steals a game, 1.3 blocks per 75 possessions, 53.9 true shooting percentage, and 34.3% from the 3-point line last season. Did we upgrade? There's no doubt we did, for sure. You look at what Patrick Beverley brings to the table. You look at what THT brings to the table. And while their numbers are, they're pretty close, right? Like, I think we can all agree that their numbers are fairly close. I mean, the biggest, discrepancy is probably in their 3-point percentage. But what Patrick Beverley brings to the table can be found in stats. This guy went to the T-Wolves, and all of a sudden, the T-Wolves have like swag and they have edge, and all of a sudden, Cat is a damn all-star. He's talking out the side of his neck, and I mean, it sounded ridiculous talking about he's like, what did he say? He was like, what did he say? He's one of the best. Oh, he's like the best like shooting big man of all time.
Like yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it sounded ridiculous, but like the confidence that he had, it showed in his play, made him an all-star that season, and it eventually led them to like they made the play. Hold on, let me finish. They making me lose my train of thought. That's right. They made it into the play-in, and then they eventually made it into the playoffs, and they went head to head, 7 games with a very game Grizzlies team. Like, the Grizzlies definitely better than advertised for sure. And the Wolves went toe to toe to them for 7 games. And I think Patrick Beverley's leadership, instilling the type of confidence in Cat to come out and say that, and then to play the way he did, Patrick Beverley had a lot to do with that. So you look at the impact that Patrick Beverley can bring to a team versus what THT does, which, I mean, let's be honest, he doesn't bring that type of impact to a team, especially not last season because the Lakers missed the playoffs. So, I think Patrick Beverley is a great fit for this team, leadership wise, because that's what we've really been missing. Like, LeBron is LeBron, and he's obviously going to be one of the vocal leaders on the team and everything like that. But he has no backup. AD was supposed to be that, but that's not really in his like personality necessarily. Like, you need that like Grizzly like veteran to like come in and that's what Dudley did for us in 2020. So I can definitely see, Patrick Beverley coming in, filling the Dudley role. I think Beverley's going to walk in from day one. He's going to hold everybody accountable. He's going to hold LeBron accountable. He's going to hold AD accountable. And he's going to hold Westbrook accountable. So I just hope that Russ, I hope he'll be, willing to kind of accept that and just realize that, that they both just want to win, and that's why Pat is is trying to hold him accountable, not off some disrespectful stuff. So I just hope that they realize that they both want to win, and he just kind of accepts Pat Bev, in this leadership role, for sure.
Well, Shane was saying that his problem with it is that we lost a wing and Stanley Johnson. But to me, Stanley Johnson is not not an asset really. THT.
Yeah.
I know Mitch hates. I know Mitch hates THT, but he is a young kid who can. He can play a little bit. He's still young, but I look at it like if we had to give up Stanley Johnson basically to make the deal happen, then that's a small price to pay. And the same thing if we had to give up THT to make the deal happen, it's a small price. It's a small price to pay.
In terms of was Stanley being gone, it seems like Darvin Ham's kind of high on Waylon Gabriel.
Oh, please. Waylon Gabriel. I wouldn't even know if Waylon Gabriel walked in here right now. I wouldn't know who he was. Darvin Ham needs to knock it off.
Otherwise, why would you trade Stanley?
Because
you had to
they
get
probably
Pat Bev.
wanted. Yeah, you had to get him. Basically, Shane, what I was saying is the impact that Patrick Beverley brings to the game, and inside the locker room and holding people accountable is just something that THT just can't do. And I don't think it'll ever be like, I know, I get it. He's a young player. Like you said, he's 21 versus Patrick Beverley being 34. But Patrick Beverley is going to fill into that kind of Dudley role, and he'll hold LeBron accountable, he'll hold AD accountable, and he'll hold Russ accountable, on the defensive end, which is needed on this team. It's sorely needed on this team. And I think he'll inspire the young guys. I think he'll inspire a guy like Austin Reeves. I think he'll inspire a guy like Juan Toscano-Anderson. I think he'll inspire a guy like Thomas Bryant. And I think we can get a couple of these guys to play over their head with the impact that he can bring. It's just something that THT can do. Everything isn't all about stats. Like there's so much more to the game, and things that he can do is get inside the other team's head. What happens? Like Stu Lance, like the great Stu Lance always says on the telecast, a mad player is a bad player. Unless you were like Kobe Bryant or somebody, but for the most part, a mad player is a bad player. And basketball is so mental. It's such a mental game that getting into the other team's head, it just helps you. He can be all rah, and you would think that he's out of control, but he knows exactly what he's doing. I saw a video a while ago, not even a while ago, maybe last week or something. He was talking to a bunch of the young guys. He was working out with a couple of kids. I think
to find your niche video.
UCLA was there. One of the guys from UCLA was in there too. What's his face? Gosh, I'm blanking on his name. But yeah, he's talking to the young guys. He's just I don't know, but maybe. But either way, he's just telling the young guys, you got to find your niche in this league. He knows his niche. He knows his role. He knows what he's about. He knows what he's good at, and he's perfected his lane. So it's the Draymond Green role. It's like, hey, I'm gonna get in your face. I'm gonna get you mad. I'm gonna get you upset. I'm gonna get you out your game. Because once you're out your game, you're not gonna play the way that you could and should play. So we need that type of player. LeBron's not going to do that. As good as LeBron is, he's not going to do that. AD's not going to do that. Russ, he can do that at times, but I think he needs to focus more so on like just just staying within himself for right now until they work out all the kinks. But I mean, hopefully him and Patrick Beverley can work out their difference. These fools just need to go to dinner together, work out their little issues or whatever. Hey, I'm here to win, you here to win. Like, let's get it popping, and that's it.
Well, I saw Nick Wright saying that. First of all, before I forget, did you guys know that Stu Lance commutes from San Diego to Los Angeles every home game? Did you guys know that?
I did not know that. I figured he
Yes.
had a house in San Diego.
I didn't know that either.
He commutes he makes the drive from San Diego to LA every single
42
Lakers.
games, huh?
Yes, sir.
42 games.
My man Drew,
Ew.
I think is it Drew? I think his name is my man Drew Unga on Twitter. He tweeted that, and I was like, "What?" But yeah,
Wow.
bro. So, but
Shout out to Stu.
Shout out to Stu. He's a legend. The other thing I was gonna say is, did you guys know that? Oh, sorry, I already said that. So, how important do you guys think it is moving forward for the Lakers to pull off that? I was going to say something about Nick Wright. Nick Wright was saying that number one, if you guys remember when Pat Bev said Nick Wright was saying that somebody posted a tweet, I guess, saying that the Lakers open the season against I think like for the Clippers on October 20th. They're opening against the Warriors. I think they put the Clippers in the second game of the season. And a couple of weeks ago, Pat Bev retweeted that. He did a quote tweet, and with the prayer hands emoji. And then he made another tweet where he was saying that he's talking about KD basically and guys holding up things for other people with the KD thing. And then as soon as the KD thing gets resolved, the Pat Bev trade happens. So basically, the point is that Pat Bev knew a couple of weeks ago that he was going to be a Laker. And but he had to wait for that there was a possibility, but he had to wait for the KD thing to happen for the domino to, fully fall in place. And then the other thing he was saying, though, is that he said that there's no way that the Lakers are going to have Pat Bev and Russell Westbrook on the same basketball team. Because he was saying, like, just imagine the disgust on Russell Westbrook's face if he gets subbed out for Pat Bev, And it's like, I know guys are professional. I know at the end of the day, these guys are all rich beyond their wildest dreams. But I don't know. I would like to think that they could make it work. It wouldn't, I think they could. But that's what Nick Wright was saying, that there's no way that Russell Westbrook that basically confirms that Westbrook is out of here now that they traded for Pat Bev. But I kind of go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's not, giving Russell enough credit. I mean, is there a possibility that it won't work? I mean, they have a lot of history. Like Shane was mentioning, the whole knee injury, that was like Russ's first like major injury where he had to miss a lot of time. Before that, Russ was like an Iron Man. I mean, he still is to this day. So yeah, I mean, they got a lot of history between each other. But like I said, man, they just need to have a conversation. And I think they're both grown men, So I think they can get in a room. They realize they're on the same team. They can get together for dinner or whatever. Just talk out their issues. Hey, Russ will be like, "Hey, I'm here to win." Pat Bev will be like, "I'm here to win too. Everything that I say and do is going to be to help us win." And Russ will be like, just let's keep it within the limits. And, they can, I'm sure they'll be able to keep it professional.
I think so. I agree with that. But I'll say then, if not so much chemistry wise, then just basketball wise, how important do you guys think it is? I don't think got into one piece in Pat Bev. How important do you guys think it is the Lakers pull the trigger on the Buddy Hield and Miles Turner trade for Westbrook? Or do you think it's not important? Do you think we should stand pat now? Shane?
I think it's important if we don't get fleeced, and that's the issue because both Indiana and Utah want both first round picks, and I think Rob's trying to see if we do have to give up those first round picks, let's maximize it to the best of our ability to get package back. Not then he's gonna stay where we at, and then try this again during the trade deadline. But yeah, I think it's important. Just as far as roster construction is concerned, because like I said, we're literally like lacking wings, and it's mostly a guard oriented roster. Then we still don't know what's going to happen with Kendrick Nunn. So, but if it has to be a Pat Bev Westbrook situation, I think they'll find a way to coexist. But in terms of the roster and everything else, it's going to make it complicated in terms of small ball in your fourth quarter lineup. So in that sense, I think it's important.
Mitch?
I'm definitely still of the position where I think we could stay pat. Well, especially with this, especially with the Pat Bev trade coming in, I'm definitely still of the position that we can stay pat, and I feel way more confident now having Pat Bev over THT on this roster. So I definitely feel that we can just stay pat. If the trade happens, it happens. It is what it is. But yeah, I think we can stay pat. I think they can both be professionals. I think they can actually help each other. And I think we can make some noise.
Yeah, it definitely
I feel way more confident now.
Yeah, more confident. It made me way more confident in this team also, Mitch, that we have. Like I said on Twitter, it's not often that a trade for a role player makes a team a lot better, but this trade, it made this Lakers team a lot better. I think whatever seed they would have gotten without Pat Bev, they just got like 2 seats higher, basically. Just with his presence now.
We'll see.
Yeah, all right, Shane. All right, so with that being said, we should get into episode 4. Before I forget, thanks again to Greg Bergman for coming on last week and retweeting. We got a retweet from him. We got a retweet from the Kamenetsky brothers. So thanks again for Greg Bergman for helping us get that type of exposure and getting us kind of noticed maybe for the first time by people who are tuned into ESPN radio. And then but yeah, so episode 4 of Legacy, the Lakers Hulu documentary series, the docuseries, it premiered last night. And I think it kind of got to a point where it the episode starts off with basically the end of Riley's tenure. Well, I don't know if it started like that. It might have, but it started. I know there's a lot of stuff about the family, and then the kids kind of going their separate ways. I would say, in no disrespect to Jeannie and the rest of the Bus kids, but I would say that's probably been so far my least favorite part of the series, especially in this episode. I just thought it went on a little too long, that part of it. As far as like I get it, the relationship with their dad and how much they wanted to be involved in the family business, and Gina getting married to that volleyball player and stuff like that. It's cool. I'm glad I know that now, but I think they could have maybe not spent as much time on it. And when we got into they talked about Rouse and his exit, which was at the time that was a really big deal, man. And then of course it concludes with Magic's HIV diagnosis, which I'm kind of surprised. I thought that they would end up spending an entire episode on that, but you know
It's been
they
too long
didn't.
on that.
You think they spent too long on the HIV diagnosis?
Yeah, this like the fourth or fifth time he didn't told this story. Like I'm like, I don't really want to see that no more. Then he cried this time. It's like, bro, we need to revisit that.
But you know, it's such an important moment in Lakers history because and they showed, you know, in '91 we replace Riley, we bring in Mike Dunleavy for the 1990-91 season. Remember that first year after Kareem left, and this is what makes Magic. It kind of confirmed that Magic was the most important member of Showtime. Is that after Kareem retired in '89, they come back the next year. Magic wins his third MVP. They have the best record in the league. They end up flaming out in the second round against Phoenix, but you know it's kind of to be expected. They had made the finals, you know, 3 years in a row. And then the next year they come back, you know, they replace Riles with Mike Dunleavy, and there was a lot. My favorite part was they were talking about how they changed the offense from the run and gun of Showtime, and the reporters started calling it slow time. So it became more of a half court offense where in the 80s we were used to Magic running down and Byron and Big Game James filling the lanes. But now it's more of a half court offense. And they talked about Vlade, the Lakers drafting Vlade, Vlade played for the Lakers for 7 years. You know, if Vlade had been lucky enough to win a championship as a Laker, I think we remember Vlade as a Sacramento King now. But so that's the one thing is, you know, when you win a championship as a Laker, you're a Laker for life. And Vlade never could quite get that championship those first 2 years. And then at the end there of his 10 year, they had gotten good again, but they weren't good enough, you know. So there's that. I just want to say before I ask you guys what you thought of the episode, or Shannon already kind of chimed in, but I just love it when I hear Gary Vitti tell the story of how he realized that Magic had HIV, which is that, you know, they had played the McDonald's Cup in Paris, and then they were playing another game in Vancouver, British Columbia, and Magic was fatigued. I saw another interview where Gary Vitti said that it wasn't really HIV related. He was just jet lagged basically. The Magic wasn't playing, and then Gary Vitti, they called for Magic to come home, and he I think they were actually in Utah, and they called for Magic to come home, and Gary Vitti's sitting there at the game, and he's trying to figure out, I wonder what it is. And what it was is the Lakers had done, the typical, I guess, physical for Magic, but they had done another physical because they had taken out a life insurance policy on Magic, which is, I think he said another interview that's normal because, at the end of the day, players are assets. And then in that physical, they had tested for HIV, which they didn't test for in the Lakers team physical. And he said because he said, that would actually be a violation of the civil rights of the athlete to test for HIV in a team physical. But for the life insurance, it was different. And he says he's sitting there and he realized, well, that's the difference. That was the one difference between the Lakers physical and the insurance physical. And he goes, he realized it like that. And I just love it when he tells that story because it's such it kind of engrosses me. But I'll go to Mitch. What were your general thoughts, Mitch, of episode 4 of the Legacy docuseries?
Yeah, I mean, definitely picked up a couple things that I didn't know. Like, I didn't know that Dr. Buss almost owned the Cowboys. Like, that was crazy. I'm so glad that he didn't. My goodness. But I mean,
hater.
But if he did, I mean, they would actually be, relevant to this day. I believe, they would actually won a couple of Super. They would actually won a couple of Super Bowls after, after 19 whatever.
93.
93. Oh my gosh. And they still live.
No, it was. I'm sorry. It was
90.
It was 95. It was 95. I'm sorry. Let me give them credit.
95. Tupac was still alive. Oh my gosh, Lord have mercy.
I mean,
Biggie and
where's the
Tupac.
Vikings rings though?
Oh man, yeah, but we got more playoff wins like
With no
recently
rings.
than y'all. So
No
yeah.
rings.
But y'all haven't had any since 1995.
But we have rings.
Who is we? You didn't even watch the Super Bowl in 1995. So what is this?
A ring is a ring is a ring.
You weren't able to experience it, so you can't be like, oh, we. You have never seen that team win a Super Bowl.
You have never seen your team go to a Super Bowl. So
I guess we in the same boat. What you mean?
no, because my team has rings. Your team don't.
The point was you have never
Y'all are the Clippers.
seen your team in the Super Bowl.
Y'all are the Clippers of the NFL.
Watch out this season. I keep telling y'all. Watch out
Y'all are
this
the
season,
Clippers
man.
of the NFL.
Watch out.
Y'all
this
put
season.
up division banners.
Listen, I love being a Vikings fan just because, the juxtaposition of me being a Lakers fan, it keeps me humble. Honestly, I love being a Vikings fan.
You humbled?
Lakers have so many championships, and we just won 2 years ago. And yeah, being a Vikings fan keeps me humble, man, because
I've never known you to be humble.
So many years.
Okay.
There's been so many years where we should have won, could have won. The year that we definitely should have won was when Brett Favre came and Bounty Gate. That's why I'll never forgive the Saints. I will never forgive the Saints. I
Shoulda, coulda, woulda.
Hey, Bounty Gate. It happened. It is known. We should have won that Super Bowl. If Bounty Gate didn't happen, we were winning that game.
They've had some pretty good teams that didn't win it. I think that I don't, no disrespect with the Case Keenum team. I mean, that was still Case Keenum, right? So, but when they had Favre that year, they were that game against the Saints. They were probably the better team, and they just Favre went Favre at the end there, and they went and split out. And then in '98 with Randall Cunningham and Moss as a rookie, that was the year they went 15-1, wasn't it? And they lost to the Dirty Bird Falcons. And then I think in 2000, that was Culpepper's second year, I think. And they lost to the Giants. That was the washout, I think, in the NFC championship. So that was was it 41-0 or something like that?
Bringing back painful memories.
Yeah, but
it's hard being a Vikings fan, man. Let me tell you, it is hard being a Vikings fan. But I love
don't win none.
We win more than y'all recently. We win more than y'all recently. I know that.
I mean, we just won a division last year, and before that, if they didn't steal that catch away from Dez, we would have won that Super Bowl that year.
Dez didn't catch it. I'm here to tell y'all, everybody out there listening right now.
No, he didn't catch. No, he didn't catch it. He scored.
Catch it.
He caught it and scored simultaneously. And y'all was hating.
What did the refs call?
Fuck them refs.
The refs called no catch, right?
Bullshit refs. That's a bullshit call.
Was that 2014 or 2016?
Oh, that's hard to say.
I think that was 2016.
That was 2016. That was against the Packers, right?
Yeah, I think the year afterwards they didn't bring Dez back. So
that was such a confusing game for me. I didn't know who to root against, honestly. I hate the Packers and I hate the Cowboys fans. I didn't know what to do with myself. I wish both teams could have lost, to be honest.
There's a lot of hate in your blood, I see.
Well, hate the Packers. Hate Cowboys fans. Y'all are the most delusional fans in the entire sports world. It is amazing. It's you and Skip Bayless, the leader of this delusional Cowboy fan base. It's actually you. It's triplets. It's you, Skip Bayless, and that damn playmaker Michael Irvin. Y'all the leaders of this delusional fan base.
Oh, get it right. the NFL champion playmaker. Thank you. Make sure you say that.
Did you see it? Did you see
Make sure
it?
you say that. I need
Did
to
you
see
see
it.
it,
It's in
though?
history books. There's a banner.
But did you see it?
I need to see it. There's a banner. See the banner. One you'll never get.
We'll see. We got a Super Bowl winning coach. I know that. Our coach has a ring.
Anyway, back to legacy.
Gloss over that. Gloss over that,
Yeah.
please.
Back to
gloss
legacy.
over that.
Yeah.
Kevin O'Connell knows how to get it done. He's been to the promised land.
Both of y'all skipped this, but they for a second there, they look like they were trying to draft Cliff Robinson over Vladdy.
Yeah.
And then
well, they voted. Hey, isn't it my turn? It's my turn. Hold on. It's my thoughts. No, man, that was a tangent. That wasn't my turn. I didn't get my thoughts out on the.
You turned it into a biking tangent, and you made overruled.
We got sidetracked. I don't even know how we got there, but either way it goes. My thoughts on the documentary. Excuse me, it's my turn. It's my turn. So yeah, my thoughts on the documentary. Yeah, I mean, I'm honestly not gonna lie to you guys. I'm definitely a little show-timed out, just because we got 8 episodes of Winning Time. Then we got the 4 episodes of the Magic documentary, and now we got 4 more episodes of all Showtime in this Legacy documentary. So like I said, it ended off on the announcement. So what it's looking like for me. Hopefully, we're gonna look into the period after Magic. So hopefully we don't spend too much more time on like that Showtime era. Now hopefully we can get into some. I'm really looking forward to see like some Kobe stuff now, right? Like I'm super excited. Like that's mostly why I was excited about this documentary, to hear a lot more on like Kobe and like the behind the scenes, learning stuff that we didn't know about like the Shaq Kobe era. I know for sure Shaq has some interviews in there. It looked like they even got some interviews from Kobe. So yeah, I'm really curious to see a lot more on like behind the scenes of that whole era, when Phil comes and everything like that. And even a little bit before that, a little bit, how Rodman came for however little he was here or whatever. And then like pushing forward into the Kobe Powell years. I'm really curious to see how that. I'm curious to see how they're gonna, talk about Kobe and the infamous trade request that, thank goodness, didn't come to fruition. Yeah, I'm really excited to kind of go through like the Kobe era, really learn some things that we may not have known about, Kobe, because I feel like we learned a lot about Showtime, but we also weren't really around during the Showtime like era to really know like the behind the scenes stuff. So yeah, I'm really excited to finally get past this Showtime part, get into the Shaq Kobe, get into the Kobe Powell and everything after. Hopefully they do a lot on. I hope they talk a lot about Kobe's last game too. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for what's next now with the documentary.
Yeah, it'll be. I'm a little different from you though. Mention that. I remember I used to always try to tell my grandmother, like, I would tell her like, hey, like, look at this thing that I'm watching on the JFK assassination, and she'd be like, well, I already lived through that, so she doesn't want to, like kind of revisit it because she already lived through it. And for me, that's kind of how I feel about to me, Showtime is more fascinating than the Kobe era, because I lived through the Kobe era. I remember everything and feel like I pretty much know everything about that era. Like I remember Like people could use me as like a reference for like stuff because I remember so much of the stuff that had happened and that I've read and stuff like that. And but but Showtime, that's something that I can, it's like I'm always can always learn something new because I didn't live through it. But that's just the difference between people, I guess.
Yeah.
Well,
I get you. Yeah, I get that.
okay. Is that it, guys? Shane Murray. Things started so promising with Shane Murray tonight, Mitch, and then he just couldn't.
Technical difficulties. My bad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe Shane has bad Wi-Fi or something. Maybe that's it. I don't know.
Maybe his internet connection is like rejecting his shirt.
Like
That
Reigns
could be it. That's a
reject your
possibility.
team.
What'd you say?
But yeah, I said like Reigns reject his Vikings. But
okay.
yeah, time for my thoughts now. Episode
Did he
4.
already give his thoughts?
Yeah, Shane.
Yeah. I gave a little bit.
Oh my gosh.
All right, Shane. Very quickly here at the end.
Episode
Man,
4
we still gotta
started
bring
off with
Herbert
such a
in.
high for me,
Gosh.
episode 4 started off with such a high for me, knowing Jerry Buss almost bought the Cowboys. Damn. And then they end like with Magic again with the whole age thing, and then seeing him cry, I was like, bruh. That's why I'm like, I don't want to see that story no more. If I feel like the way he handled it, he should have had some type of Nobel Peace Prize for that. Just the attention he brought to AIDS and HIV and the money he raised, fighting on his own with that. But I was happy. I like this part about Lottie. We don't touch on the personal stuff of Lottie, of how he came to the Lakers or whatever. We just know, that we try to get Kobe in King's years or whatever. But then the Clifford Robinson stuff is interesting. Like, if we got Clifford Robinson instead of Lottie, would there even been a Kobe trade? Like, would they reject that or whatever? So, then in terms of Showtime, I'm kind of Showtime out myself for different reasons. Because, like I said, I've always seen clips of Showtime all my life, and then with my dad using their videos for clinics and stuff, I'm like kind of over Showtime and want to like see the other stuff. I'm more so into want to see the Jim and Jeannie Buss situation, see how that played out. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the Kobe and Powell teams and the '90s teams, especially if they got an interview with Nick, which I doubt, but it'd be nice to see an interview with Nick Van Exel and some of the 96, 97 teams. But yeah, that was cool.
Oh, I gotta say one more thing. I thought the self-reflection of Pat Riley in his interview, I thought it was amazing. I mean, I just thought his self-reflection and his recollection of everything and just the introspection. I thought that was amazing, man. I mean, he kind of took himself to task on that. So, and then all the all the Showtime Lakers basically denying that they. I love how they put that all together. It's like all the Showtime's like, nah, we didn't tune them out. What? Tune them out? Nah, we didn't. And then Coop at the end. Yeah, we tuned them out. I was like, Coop,
Yeah.
what you doing, baby? Come on.
Yeah. Because
we gotta stay together.
They can try to lie now, but if you go back and you read, like I read Jeff Pearlman's book, at the time they were so over Riley, and when he got let go, I think Byron said something like it's like an exorcism or it's like a new life or something like that, because so they were tired, they were done. All right, anything else, guys?
I just want to say one more thing. I know we've had this argument before. It's an old argument, but we were watching the documentary or whatever. I mean, just looking at the clips of Kareem and the sky hook. I mean, that is such a difficult shot, and I'm just so confused why Shane Murray cannot see the skill in the sky hook. Like that.
And on that
such
note,
a hard shot.
Ace of Coon, the bucking hard, and yellow jiggling. Time to get out.
That is such a hard shot. Like I've always tried it, and like, man, it's a hard shot. And Kareem is hitting it from the free throw line like it's nothing. Like, what? Are you kidding me? It's like the skill involved in the sky hook to be the leading scorer of the NBA. I mean, my goodness, I don't understand why he can't get more respect from Shane Murray. I mean, it's one of the great mysteries in the world for sure.
Anyway,
yeah, Shane. We have to always. That's just Shane being Shane, right? All right, so
yeah, I'm beating a dead horse. And
yeah,
I know it. I'm sorry.
all right. So before we get out of here, just a few more reminders. I said at the beginning of the show, if you're watching this on YouTube, hit that subscribe button next to the Complete Lakers podcast. If you prefer the audio version, remember to rate, review, or subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts. The show is also on Anchor, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, and every other major podcatcher. Make sure to follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at TC Pod Network and to like it on Facebook. Just search for the Complete Lakers podcast. And finally, send feedback and mailback questions to CompleteLakersPodcast@gmail.com. We are out.
Wait, Anto, before you hit the we are out, I want to give a quick shout out. Shout out to the bad guy, the original bad guy, Razor Ramon, Scott Hall. Shout out to him, RIP. Just want to definitely want to say, his famous quote from his Hall of Fame speech, bad times don't last, but bad guys do. Shout out to the bad guy, RIP. And also, once again, as usual, sorry to Herbert, we ran out of time. I'm sorry.